कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकि कोकिलम्। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीताया पतये नमः। जयत्याश्रितसन्त्रास ध्वान्तविध्वंसनोदयः प्रभावान् सीतया देव्या परमव्योमभास्करः परमव्योमभास्करः।
श्रीमते निगमान्त महादेशिकाय नमः. One of the celebrated poets in the Telugu tradition is Annamaya or Annamacharya. Those of you Astikas who have visited and had darshan of Swami Sri Venkateshwara, called as Srinivasa or Balaji, in the beautiful abode of Tirumala Tirupati, would have seen the huge replica of Annamaya or Annamacharya Swami. His compositions were largely devoted to the presiding deity of Tirumala, Swami Sri Venkateshwara. Of course, there are a few other compositions which are on other deities. One such is on Hanuman. He says, Balarka bimbamo phalamani batina alari chitala Hanumanta Donari Brahmadula Chevaramulu Uli Chekoni Na O Hanumanta Mangambudi Hanumanta Nismaranamangarin Chitivi Hanumanta Hanuman. You thought that the rising sun is a fruit and you flew to it. You showed your valor, your prowess. Hanuman, bless me, says the poet. Hanuman should bless us all. Hanuman, after having crossed Mainakam, Surasa and Simhika, the three different kinds of impediments, reaches the shores of Lanka. He is amazed at how beautiful Lanka is being protected, guarded, and how impregnable it is. That is when he is stopped by Lankini. Lankini tries to threaten Hanuman and gives him a knock. Hanuman in return, gives that shot back. That is when Lankini says that she was ordained to stay in Lanka and head back when she was struck by an extraordinary Vanara. She sees that extraordinary Vanaratvam in Hanuman, blesses that Hanuman's mission should be successful and he should be successful in bringing Janaki and Ramachandra together. Sita nimittam ragyasto Ravanasya duratmanaha rakshasam chaiva sarvesham vinashaha samupagataha tat pravishya harisreshtha purim ravana palitam vidhasva sarva karyani yani havanchasi. So, he says that this blessing of her will help him cross all the impediments in seeing Sita. Now, as he enters Lanka, he finds houses of all types, says Valmiki. What are those all types? Varahamihira in his Samhita states, here is the Pramana Shlokam. Chatushalam Chaturdwaram Sarvato Bhadra Sangitam Paschimadwara Rahitam Nandya Vartakhvayam Tutat Dakshinadwara Rahitam Varthamanam Dhanapradam Pradwara Rahitam Swastikakyam Putra Dhanapradam. So, There are 4 kinds of houses that used to be constructed in those days. A house with 4 rooms, and that house will have 4 exits in all the 4 directions: north, south, east, west. So those houses were called Sarvato Bhadram. In fact, I'm sure some of you Astikas will be interested in analyzing poetry, literature. So poetry, which is integral to literature, in Sanskritam, we have something called Chitra Kavyam, poetry through imagery. In that there is a shlokam that suggests it is Sarvato Bhadram. There is Sarvato Bhadram, Ardha Brahmarakam, then there is Mridanga Paddhati, then there is this Sharabantham. There are many formations in Sanskrit poetry. One is Sarvato Bhadram. Here the house denotes that there are 4 exits. Next. Paschimadvara Rahitam Nandyavartakhvayam Tutat. If there are exits in 3 directions barring the west, Paschimadvara Rahitam, it is called Nandyavartam. That house type is called Nandyavartam. Next. Dakshinadvara Rahitam. Today we speak about 2 BHK apartments, 3 BHK apartments, villas, villaments, row houses, duplex house, so condominium. We speak about such types. In those days, it is said Paschimadvara Rahitam Nandyavartam. Next, Dakshinadvara Rahitam. Now, if there is no southern exit, then it is Vardhamanam. Such houses will be called Vardhamana. Next, Pragdvara Rahitam. If there is no eastern exit, there is no exit in the eastern direction, Swastikakyam Putra Dhanapradam. Swastita. So, swastika, that signature, that symbol that we have, Swastikakyam, it used to be called swastika, and such houses which are like swastika that do not have exits in the eastern direction, Putra Dhanapradam. They will give good progeny and prosperity to the house. So, such houses were there in Lanka. Now, Hanuman could also hear to the playing of very melodious instruments in this late evening, because by the time he arrived it was 6, now it will be around 7:30. So nice evening ragas were being played. Hasitot Krishta Ninadai Sturya Ghosha Puraskritaihi. Now slowly people started sleeping because it was night time. Even in Bharata Desham, if you remember, I'm sure the elderly people will be able to relate. In those days when there was no electricity, now in the last 60-70 years, there has been percolation of electricity across cities, metros, towns and villages. But when there was no electricity, people would have early dinner because there is no source of light and they will go to their bed early. So here also people went to their bed early. Now as people were sleeping, Hanuman sees who were all sleeping. The yogis were sleeping, the tapasvis were sleeping. Those guards who were supposed to guard had also dozed off. Everybody was sleeping. While he says everybody, he concludes, Hanuman concludes, who were all sleeping, he concludes, even the person who is mentally retarded, who generally refuses to sleep, he'll get in the middle of the night, talk something, lament, ramble, and then sleep. Even he was sleeping. So, a mentally retarded person who is not that mentally stable, even he was sleeping in Lanka. Now you may wonder, sir, what is the use of description? When you say that everybody was sleeping, why is it necessary for you to say specifically that even the mentally retarded person slept? There is a reason. One of the signs of a very prosperous province, a Rajyam, Janapadam in those days was, people should be sleeping in the night. Today we have this concept, sir, come to my city, you don't have to worry, even in the middle of the night it will be busy. Only if there is something which is very fishy, something that needs to be researched upon, probably probed, will that city be busy in the night. In the night everybody has to sleep, even animals have to sleep. So when everybody sleeps, the city is prosperous. In the middle of the night, if it's like everybody is awake, then there is something shady about it. So Lanka was so prosperous, peaceful and blissful that everybody was sleeping in the night. Even the mentally retarded person was sleeping. Should I give you a contrast? Yes, I will give you one contrast. So there used to be this composer of the colonial period. His name was Oliver Goldsmith. Oliver Goldsmith, who wrote The Citizen of the World, there is a piece within it. It's called A City Night Piece. He describes London in the middle of the night. Around 11-12 in the night, he describes the state of London. That is when Oliver Goldsmith says, I quote, "The clock has just struck 2. The expiring taper rises and sinks in the socket. The watchman forgets the hour in slumber. The drunkard once more fills the destroying bowl. The robber walks his midnight round, and the suicide lifts his guilty arm against his own sacred person. The laborious and the happy are at rest, and nothing wakes but meditation, guilt, revelry, and despair." So Oliver Goldsmith says everyone slept in London except the meditation, people who were in meditation, guilt, people who had committed crimes, revelry, and despair, the person who was mentally retarded did not sleep. So the sign of prosperity of a city is when everyone sleeps. London is described as a city where the mentally retarded person did not sleep, in contrast to Lanka, which says that even the mentally retarded person slept. To just say, in the times of Ramayana, Lanka was a better tourist destination than London. So Lanka versus London, Lanka won hands down. So this was the state of Lanka. It was well guarded, well protected, well administered. People were at peace and they were sleeping. Now, Hanuman noticed all of them sleep, the musical instruments, and as he walked, he was thinking of Sita. He has not spotted Sita as of now. How will she be? Because he has never seen even the profile picture of Sita. He has to now imagine how Sita will look, because his association with women, forget the human women, even the Vanara women was very little. He has just seen Tara and Ruma. Otherwise, he hasn't been associated with human race at all, especially the human women. And now he is coming in search of a woman who is the wife of Rama, whom he has never seen. So he is imagining how her state would be. Valmiki describes, "Avyakta rekhamiva chandra rekham, pramsuf pradugdhamiva hema rekham, prarudhamiva varna rekham, vayu prabhugnamiva megha rekham." Like how the cloud will have a streak of lightning come. She will be afflicted by the abduction, he thinks. She must be having prominent scars over her body as a sign of she being kidnapped. She could look like gold. She is Hiranyavarnam Harineem. Rigvedam states she is Mahalakshmi, she is gold. But she will be covered with a layer of dust. She is dust laden gold because of not taking bath for many, many days after she was being abducted. Avyakta rekhamiva chandra rekham. She must be looking like the scar-filled crescent moon. He now imagines. As he does that, he keeps searching street after street, house after house. Tulsidas in Ramcharitmanas says that Hanuman was crossing the house of Vibheeshana. How was Vibheeshana's house? Look at the description what Goswami Tulsidas ji gives. Bhavan ek puni dekh suhava. Hanuman sees a bhavan, a house. Hari mandir tah bhinna banawa. He saw that this house is no different from Hari's mandir, from the temple of Narayana. This house looks like the temple itself. Hari mandir tah bhinna banawa. Rama yudh ankit grih shobha baranita jaye. Rama yudh ankit. On the walls, the external walls of this house, were symbols of Hari, Narayana's Ayudham, Chakram, Shankham, Gada, Padmam, then Kaumodaki, the mace that I was talking about, then Nandakam, the sword, Sharngam, the bow and the quiver of arrows, all of the Panchayudhas were beautifully painted on the external walls of this house. It was looking like a Hari Mandir. Ramayud Ankit Grih Shobha Barani na jai Nav Tulasi ka. There was a beautiful sapling of tulasi planted outside the house. Nav tulasi ka brind tah dekhi harsh Kapirai. Hanuman became so happy, excited that even in Lanka Pradesham, there is some devotee of Hari here. He was so happy to see the house of Vibheeshana. Now he goes further. He has to search for Sita further. That is where he sees a hangar, the place where the flights are kept. He sees Pushpa written outside of a Vimana. That was Pushpaka Vimana. What is this Pushpaka Vimana? More in the next episode. Dear Astika reader, I am happy to be authoring a two-part book on the Ramayana in English. The first part is slated for release in the year 2024. The book aims to recreate and retell the Ramayana of Valmiki, conforming to the ancient commentaries and other allied literature. To receive notifications of the book release, kindly register with www.deshikadaya.org/books. Namaskaram.